Oh, come on, don't sulk. It's not like I didn't get you anything. That's what she said, literally, as she handed me an expired $5 off coupon for dog food, tucked inside a birthday card that smelled faintly like her latest impulse buy from Sephora. Never mind that we don't have a dog. Never mind that I turned 43 that day. The card had a cartoon of a chicken lifting weights and read, "Don't feel cooped up about getting older." And that was it. No breakfast, no hug, not even one of her fake Instagram kisses she saves for public. Just a chicken joke and kibble savings. If I ever needed a moment to summarize the slow funeral march my marriage had become, that one right there did the job better than a eulogy. She laughed. Full volume, from the belly kind of laugh. The kind you hear after a successful prank, like she just dropped a whoopee cushion under my dignity. "You should see your face right now," she cackled. "You look like someone just told you Cracker Barrel went out of business." And I just smiled. Or something like it. Numb, tight-lipped, trying not to flinch while holding that dumb card like it might spontaneously catch fire and do me a favor. That was the moment I knew. Not suspected. Not doubted. Knew. Not just that my marriage was over, but that it had been over for a long, long time, and I'd just been the last poor bastard to leave the theater while the credits rolled. Monday, 6:47 a.m., my birthday. The house smelled like spray tanned and burnt toast. Same as most mornings. The toast was mine. The spray tan? That was Alicia, my wife, technically. She stood in the kitchen wearing one of those expensive silk robes that look like you need a mortgage just to own. Her heels clicked against the tile floor like she was doing a runway walk between the fridge and her 5th cup of oat milk cappuccino. She was already in full makeup. Not because she had anywhere to be, but because existing in sweatpants like a normal human was beneath her. She once told me, looking tired is a choice. So is looking like you shop at Costco. That one stuck. I sat at the table with my lunchbox dented from years at the warehouse, and my cracked iPhone lying next to my coffee, cold, like the marriage. "Hey babe," I said. No response. "Morning." I tried again. She looked up from her second phone, not the regular iPhone, but the secret one, the one she said was just for business. Business must have been booming at 6:47 in the morning because she hadn't looked at me once since I walked into the kitchen. Finally, she spoke. "Oh, right. Happy birthday. Don't forget dinner with my dad tonight." "Ah, yes. Dinner with Frank, the man who once told me I reminded him of a backup generator. You're good to have around in emergencies, but otherwise, nobody wants to hear you running. Delightful guy. Dinner. Right," I muttered. "Thanks." She didn't look up. She was too busy typing. Probably texting her yoga instructor or that guy who works at the Audi dealership. I reached for my wallet, old leather, cracked, softened from years in my back pocket. My dad gave it to me on my 21st birthday. Still had the same faded picture of him inside, standing next to his 1982 Ford F-150, grinning like life hadn't yet kicked his teeth in. That wallet grounded me. In that moment, I wanted to crawl into it and never come out. 9:15 a.m. I stacked pallets. My arms numb from the cold and the ache of pretending everything was fine. The guys didn't know it was my birthday. I didn't tell them. It didn't matter. But I kept thinking about that damn coupon. $5 off dog food. It wasn't about the coupon. It was about how deliberate it was. How she'd actually put effort into the insult. It wasn't an oversight. It was a reminder. A reminder that I didn't matter anymore. Not as a man. Not as a husband. Not even as a tax deduction. One of the guys, Kenny, asked if I was okay. "You look like you just stepped on a Lego barefoot," he said. "Close," I muttered. "I got married." He laughed. "Damn, bro. That bad?" I nodded. "Worse." 7 p.m. Alicia had chosen the restaurant, of course. A French place so fancy they didn't even list prices on the menu, which is how you know you're about to be robbed with a breadbasket. I wore the only collared shirt I owned that didn't have a mustard stain. She wore a red dress with shoulder pads big enough to store a second personality. Her father Frank and her sister Kendra were already seated. Alicia air-kissed them both, then sat down like a queen returning to her throne. I took my seat, trying to shrink into the linen napkin. They talked for 20 minutes straight about stocks, skincare serums, and how Kendra Shih Tzu had a gluten allergy. I just nodded occasionally, the human version of a decorative fern. Then came dessert. "Wait," Alicia said, suddenly giddy. "We haven't given you your birthday gift." She reached into her designer purse, the one that cost more than my truck's transmission, and pulled out a tiny white envelope. I opened it. Same chicken card. Same coupon. Same joke. Everyone laughed this time. Even Frank. "Don't look so surprised," Alicia said, sipping her champagne. "You said you needed to budget better." I looked at the card, folded it carefully, slid it into my wallet, right next to my dad's picture. Thanks, I said, voice even. This means more than you know. I meant it. Not because I appreciated it, but because it confirmed everything I'd been trying not to believe. Later that night, our drive home. The car ride was quiet. Tense. Alicia was scrolling her phone, probably texting T, again, her favorite contact, listed with just a single letter. I wasn't supposed to see that name, but I had. I drove slower than usual. My mind raced faster than ever. She glanced over. You're being dramatic. I didn't respond. Seriously, she said. If you're going to sulk every time someone jokes about your midlife crisis, maybe you should get a motorcycle or something. At least then you'll have an excuse to be annoying. I nearly laughed. Black humor keeps you from losing your mind. I'm good, I said. Whatever, she muttered, then leaned her seat back. Wake me when we get home. I gripped the wheel, knuckles white. I didn't feel anything. And that scared me more than if I'd felt angry. Because if you're numb, you're ready. Ready to stop playing nice. Ready to leave the theater. 11:12 p.m. The house was quiet. She went straight to the bedroom, didn't even take off her makeup. I stayed in the garage, staring at the cracked tile, the broken shelf she never let me fix because she said they made the place look authentic. I took out the coupon again. I held it up under the yellow light. It shook a little in my hands, not from nerves, but from something colder. Finality. Then I opened my phone. There was one message waiting. From an email address I'd created over 4 years ago under an alias I no longer needed. The message read, all shares transferred. You now own 51.8%. I smiled. Finally. Tuesday, 6:58 a.m., the day after. Happy birthday, idiot. Alicia hummed to herself in the bathroom. Some pop song with no melody, just breathy narcissism and bass. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my sock like it had asked for a divorce. 43 years old. My back cracks when I sneeze, and I'm still pretending I don't notice that my wife has a second phone and a new perfume she doesn't wear around me. She came out in a silk robe, hair wrapped like a gift nobody wanted. Can you not leave your nail clippings on the nightstand? She said, without looking up from her phone. I blinked. Of course. How rude of me to violate the sacred altar of your eyelash serum. She rolled her eyes. Sarcasm is the mating call of the bitter. Guess I've stopped mating then, I muttered. She didn't hear me, or pretended not to. She spritzed herself with perfume, turned to the mirror, and smiled. But it wasn't the kind of smile you make for yourself. It was the kind of smile you practice before seeing someone you want to look good for. She slipped her phone into her bag, the second phone. The business one. Meeting, she said. With who? My brother, she answered a little too fast. We're going over estate stuff. I nodded. She walked out. The scent of expensive jasmine and lies followed her. Wednesday, 2:11 p.m. I was stacking toolboxes at the warehouse when I got a call from Alicia's father, Frank. Not because he wanted to speak to me, obviously. He needed something done and assumed I was still free labor. Swing by the house tonight, he said. Printer's jammed again. Alicia's brother will be there. I nearly dropped a wrench. Her brother, Tyler, used to be a gangly teenager who wore shark tooth necklaces and called me bruh. Grew up into the kind of guy who always smells like cologne and betrayal. I hadn't seen him in a while, not since. Wait, that wasn't true. I had seen him 3 weeks ago, at our place, around midnight. I thought I dreamed it. Tyler, in the hallway, shirtless, leaving Alicia's room. She said he was just dropping off a file from their father. That's the thing about denial, it doesn't show up with fireworks. It just slowly clogs your vision until you can't see where your dignity went. Wednesday, 7:33 p.m. The printer wasn't jammed. It worked fine. Frank just wanted someone to talk it while he ranted about taxes and how feminism is ruining customer service. Tyler was there, in a designer hoodie and loafers, sitting too close to Alicia on the couch. Their knees touched. His hand brushed her thigh when he laughed. I watched them. She laughed a little too hard. He whispered something in her ear. She bit her lip. Frank didn't notice. Or maybe he did and decided long ago that his reputation was worth less than a functioning stock portfolio. I stared at the paper in my hand, an old invoice, and imagined setting it on fire. Instead, I excused myself, went to the bathroom, checked her phone. She left it unlocked because she thinks I'm too stupid or spineless to look. There it was. Message thread. T, you taste like trouble. Alicia, you taste like home. Is that weird? T, not for us. Not anymore. Alicia, I want to tell him. Just rip the Band-Aid. T, let him find out. He doesn't deserve a warning. I put the phone down gently, like I might drop it and detonate the last ounce of sanity I had left. I looked in the mirror. My reflection didn't look shocked. It looked tired, like it already knew. Thursday, 5 a.m. I didn't sleep. I went to the garage instead, drilled a broken shelf back into place. Not because it needed fixing, but because I did. Every screw I tightened felt like a piece of my patience being bolted back in, just enough to hold until I could tear everything down. Her voice floated down the hall, early phone call again. Laughter. Then, no, you hang up. Then, you're so bad. I stared at the wall. I whispered, so are you. Friday, 8:40 p.m. We went out to dinner with friends that night. A double date. Alicia wore red lipstick like blood she borrowed. Tyler was there too. With his own date, some blonde nurse who looked like she wanted to disappear the moment he put his hand on Alicia's back for just a moment too long. He called her sis all evening, but the way his eyes moved when she licked her spoon told a different story. So did the way her shoe grazed his under the table when she thought I wasn't looking. I smiled through it all, told stories, laughed too loud, even offered a toast. To family, I said, raising my glass. Alicia and Tyler smirked. I think they thought I didn't know. Or worse, that I wouldn't do anything. Saturday, 6 p.m. I sent the screenshots to my own email address. Just a backup. Then I printed one. Just one. Their chat. I folded it carefully, slid it into an envelope. No return address. Dropped it in the mailbox outside Frank's office building. He'd open it Monday. He'd see what kind of legacy his children were building. And I'd just keep showing up, smiling, playing dumb. For now. Sunday, 11:41 a.m. Alicia lay on the couch, scrolling Instagram, captioning a photo of our dinner the night before with, so grateful for nights like this. Blessed. I watched her from the kitchen. She caught my eye and winked. Want to go for a drive later? I nodded. Sure. Anywhere in particular? She smiled. Somewhere quiet. I bet. She stood, stretched like a cat, and kissed me on the cheek. You're being sweet again, she said. It's cute. I kissed her back, on the forehead, like a father saying goodbye to a kid about to fail out of summer camp. Monday, 6:14 a.m. The first thing I noticed was that she'd bought me a new razor. Alicia hadn't bought me anything in months, unless you count the expired dog food coupon for my birthday. And yet, here it was, a gleaming, brand-name 5-blade razor resting on the bathroom sink like a peace offering from a war criminal. Figured you could upgrade, she said, leaning on the doorway, arms crossed. That old one was looking rusty. She smiled. Not the flirty kind. The kind dentists give right before they drill into your jawbone. Thanks, I said, shaving cream already on my face. That's thoughtful. I looked at the packaging. Unopened. Brand new. But the blade? The blade had been swapped. Slightly dulled. Tiny nick on the edge. One of those things most people wouldn't notice unless they had, say, been watching a lot of YouTube videos on accidental self-injury insurance cases. I shaved anyway. Slowly. Alicia watched. I nicked my chin on purpose. Let the blood drip. She flinched. I smiled through the mirror. Guess I'm still a bleeder. She didn't smile back. Tuesday, 3:17 p.m. I got a call from an insurance broker. Said Alicia had inquired about upping my life insurance policy. Again, just routine, the woman chirped. We're just confirming employment, medical records, and your, skydiving habits? I paused. I've never been skydiving. Oh, she marked it as recurring thrill-seeking behavior. I almost laughed. But then she read the policy amount. It had doubled. And she'd added a spousal accidental death clause. Very specific wording. Very eager. I thanked the woman and hung up. Then I opened a folder on my desktop called Exit Strategies. Added a new note. She's not just screwing me. She's trying to bury me. Wednesday, 8 p.m. We were having dinner. Sort of. I ate reheated spaghetti from the microwave. She had some kind of green-tinted detox smoothie made from vegetables that looked like they grew inside haunted caves. She poured me a glass of wine. I watched her hands closely. She used the same bottle as usual, but only after taking it out of the fridge, unscrewing the cap, and checking something inside. She handed it to me with a smile that belonged in a true crime documentary. To us, she said. I didn't drink. I've got a bit of a headache, I lied. Maybe later. She shrugged. 10 minutes later, I accidentally knocked the glass over. It stained the rug. She screamed. Like, blood-curdling scream. Over a rug she hadn't vacuumed in weeks. You idiot, she snapped. Do you have any idea how hard that is to clean? I thought you wanted it darker anyway, I said. More moody. Her eye twitched. She poured herself another glass and drank it without flinching. That's when I knew it hadn't been poison. Not yet. Just a test run. She was seeing how willing I was to swallow. Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Tyler left the house again this morning. Not from the front door. From our bedroom window. Shirtless. Car keys dangling from his fingers. He looked relaxed. Like a man who didn't believe consequences were a real thing. He didn't see me in the garage, watching from behind the blinds. I wasn't angry. Anger burns hot. I was cold now. Cold enough to wait. Cold enough to let him think he was safe. Friday, 1 p.m., I paid a visit to a lawyer. Not mine. Hers. Alicia had no idea I knew she consulted a divorce attorney 2 weeks ago. She hadn't filed yet. She was biding time. Probably lining things up. Making me look unstable. Maybe even planting things. Or staging abuse. I went to her lawyer's office under a fake name, using an appointment slot that had just been canceled. I said I was her friend's husband. Wanted to compare strategies. The assistant handed me the packet Alicia had filled out. I read every word. She claimed I'd been paranoid, aggressive, and financially manipulative. She requested full asset division and spousal maintenance. She also said I was resistant to therapy and possibly dangerous if cornered. I handed the packet back, thanked them, and left. Added another line to my notes. Frame me. Kill me. Take the company. All with a smile. But she'd underestimated me. I wasn't cornered. I was circling her. Saturday, 6 p.m. Tyler called me. Not Alicia. Tyler. Said he needed to talk. We met at a parking lot outside a juice bar. One of those places that sells celery pulp for $9 a glass and calls it anti-inflammatory. He looked panicked. Sweaty. Like someone had told him the world was going to end and he wasn't dressed for it. I think Alicia's losing it, he said. Do you? I replied. She's been weird. Intense. Saying things like he doesn't know anything, but he will. And talking about travel insurance. Did she tell you about the trip? No, I said. There's a retreat she booked. In Mexico. Marriage healing. One-way tickets. Under your name. I blinked. She's planning something, he said. I just thought, maybe you should know. I stared at him. So now he was scared? So now he wanted to flip sides? I nodded. Thanks, Tyler. You've always been like a brother to me. He looked confused. You mean? No, I cut in. Not like that. Sunday, 2:30 a.m. I couldn't sleep. Too many variables. Too many questions. I got up and opened the email again. The one confirming my majority stake in her father's business. 51.8%. Frank didn't know yet. But he would. Soon. But that wasn't the twist. The twist came when I noticed something on the printer that night. Alicia had left it running. A single page stuck inside, halfway printed. I pulled it out gently. It was an email draft. To a private investigator. Subject line. Building a case for mental instability. Body. He's acting paranoid. Keeps talking to himself. I think he's hiding something in the garage. Is there a way to record him legally? If not, can we make it look like an accident? Something believable. I just need him, gone. Quietly. I stared at it for a long time. Then I folded it. Slid it into my briefcase. Added a note to my revenge folder. Stage 4, turn the trap around. Let her walk into it blind. Sunday, 4:44 a.m. I lit a small fire in the garage. Just a candle near a leaky bottle of paint thinner. Nothing serious. Just smoke. A little chaos. Then I screamed her name. She ran out in a panic. Said she smelled something. I pointed at the smoking shelf and said, I told you we needed to clean this place. You never listen. She stared at the candle. I saw the thought flash across her eyes. He could have died in here. Good. Let her think it was accidental. Let her fantasize about the perfect freak accident she never got to orchestrate. Let her hope. Then I blew out the candle. Better luck next time, I whispered to the smoke. Monday, 9 a.m. The morning began with coffee. Alicia handed me a mug like it was a landmine she hoped I wouldn't notice. She smiled. Big week ahead, she said. I nodded. You know, she added, stirring her chia seed nonsense, I think we should go on that retreat. The Mexico one. Just disconnect. I sipped the coffee. It tasted like hope, bitter and doomed. Sure, I said. Sounds perfect. You pick the resort. I'll bring the shovels. She paused, blinked once. What? Nothing, I smiled. Just burying the past. Her fingers gripped her mug a little too tight. I imagined her picturing my funeral. Tuesday, 12:13 p.m. Alicia's sister, Kendra, called me. Odd. She never calls unless someone's dead or someone's about to be. We met at a tiny cafe near the pier, the kind of place where everything costs too much and nothing fills you up. Kendra looked nervous. I shouldn't be saying this, she whispered. But I think something's wrong with Alicia. Define wrong, I said. She's been acting cold, calculated. And Tyler's been weird too. I walked in on them in the guest room. The door was locked. She paused, looked around. I think something's going on between them. I sipped my espresso. You think your sister is having an affair with her own brother? Her face turned white. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. I pulled a folded paper from my jacket and slid it across the table. One of their text exchanges. The one with the "you taste like home" line. She read it. Her hand trembled. Oh my God, she whispered. No, I corrected her. Your God doesn't live here anymore. Wednesday, 2:45 p.m. I made a call to Frank. No threats. Just a business update. I explained calmly that there had been some shifts in shareholder control, that certain assets were vulnerable, that new leadership may be required. He screamed, yelled that I was a parasite, that Alicia warned him this would happen, that I was going to destroy the family. I said, too late. Then I added, check your mail, Frank. He hung up. He would find the letter soon, a legal breakdown of how his own daughter and son had manipulated financial documents through shell accounts, and how he'd signed off on some of it, unknowingly. It was a lie, but a believable one. That's all you need when people are desperate. Thursday, 11:22 p.m. I left an old phone in the closet. Voice recorder running. They didn't check. They never check. The next morning, I found the recording. 11 minutes of hushed voices and heavy breathing. Tyler's voice. He's starting to ask questions. What if he knows? Alicia. Then we finish it. One more accident. A fall. Or a slip. Something quick. He's barely even sleeping. It won't take much. Tyler. You think anyone's going to believe he slipped in the tub? Alicia. They don't need to believe. Just enough doubt. He's broken already. I stared at the waveform on my laptop, dragged it into a folder labeled Funeral Playlist for Her. Friday, 7:50 a.m. I had a courier deliver an envelope to Alicia's yoga studio. Inside, a printed copy of her message to the private investigator, the fake email she was drafting about my mental instability, and the full transcript of the closet recording. No return address. She didn't say a word that night. Not at dinner. Not before bed. But she locked the bedroom door. From the inside. I slept on the couch. Saturday, 3:03 p.m. Alicia disappeared for 5 hours that day. No texts. No excuses. When she returned, she looked different. Not physically, but like someone who'd stared into something awful and barely blinked. She sat on the couch across from me. No makeup. No games. I need to tell you something, she said. I said nothing. She took a deep breath. I know you know. I raised an eyebrow. Know what? She laughed, but not like before. No cruelty in it this time. Just surrender. About me. And Tyler. About the money. The recordings. All of it. I leaned forward. Go on. She swallowed. I was going to go through with it. The accident. The plan. But something's changed. I waited. She whispered, Tyler. He's been meeting with someone. I thought we were in this together, but he's been moving money. Setting me up. I think he's going to disappear. I almost smiled. So you want my help now? She nodded. Tears started to form. He's not just using me. He's going to make me the fall guy. And I think he might hurt me too. A pause. Long and quiet. Then I said, welcome to the club. Saturday, 9 p.m. That night I opened the safe behind the bathroom mirror. The one Alicia never knew about. Inside. Flash drive with all the audio. Printed messages. 2 bank statements showing Tyler's offshore transfers. And a photo of Alicia and Tyler. From a hotel surveillance cam. Naked. Embracing. Dated 3 months back. I placed it all into a manila envelope. On the front, I wrote in marker. Dear Frank, thought you should see what your legacy looks like. Sunday, 12:01 a.m. I sat on the porch with a glass of whiskey. Alicia stood in the doorway behind me. Do we still have a chance? She asked. I turned to her. Does it matter? She didn't reply. I said, I gave you years. You gave me poison. Now I give you silence. And then I went back to sipping my drink. Alicia walked inside and closed the door. She didn't know the letter to her father was already in the mailbox. She didn't know the bank was freezing her accounts by Monday. She didn't know that Tyler had a visitor scheduled with the IRS. She didn't know the worst part wasn't coming. It had already happened. She just hadn't felt it yet. Friday, 6:30 a.m. The morning air had that rare sharpness, the kind that wakes you up before the coffee does. A good day for cleansing. 3 trucks pulled up to the sidewalk just outside the Whitmore estate. We unloaded silently, like gravediggers at dawn. Everything was accounted for. Frank's Cuban cigar humidor. Alicia's wedding gown, boxed, tagged, worn once, emotionally unavailable since. Tyler's gaming chair, reinforced, leather, ego-sized. Even the bronze urn that may or may not have held their grandmother's ashes. Didn't matter. She hated her anyway. I stood with a clipboard and a latte, watching the chaos take shape. A woman approached and asked, "Is this for real?" I nodded. Everything must go. 7:45 a.m. The signs went up. Free luxury giveaway. Donations optional, humiliation guaranteed. Flyers were posted around the neighborhood. Digital invites were sent to local reporters, bloggers, and that one drama-hungry PDA Facebook group Alicia once called Desperate. Yes, I invited them all. I even made a hashtag. Hashtag Whitmore Fire Sale. Hashtag not a fundraiser, just fun. 9:15 a.m. The early crowd trickled in. College students, curious retirees, a few locals who always wondered if Frank's wealth was real or rented. A homeless veteran picked up a pair of silk pillowcases and sniffed them. "Smells like wasted privilege," he said. A teenager held up one of Alicia's fur coats and snapped a photo. I'm in rich people's trash. Within minutes, TikTok caught wind. By 10, we were trending. I stood near the edge of the property with a megaphone and said, "Everything you see here was once guarded like treasure. Now it's free. Because value isn't measured in price, it's measured in what survives fire." 11:02 a.m. Her SUV screeched to a halt. Door flung open. Alicia stepped out in a beige coat and oversized sunglasses. Power walked across the street like she was approaching a paparazzi ambush or a hostage situation. She stopped dead when she saw the tables. The coat rack holding her designer jackets. The small line of people trying on her shoes. The cracked sculpture from Bali, now balancing a man's sandwich plate. She blinked. Once. Twice. Then she saw me. I raised my coffee in salute. Her voice came out raw. "What is this?" "The future," I said. "Or the past. Depends how you process grief." 11:05 a.m. She stormed up to the tables, grabbing things with wild hands. "You can't take this. This is OURS." A woman held up a perfume bottle. "It says Alicia W. on the tag. Is that like your brand?" "It's my name." Alicia screamed. I stepped beside her. "You don't own your name anymore. Legally, the trademarks were transferred to the new parent company, me." She blinked. "You trademarked my name?" "Technically, Frank did. Years ago. I just bought it." She stared at me like I'd slapped her with a frozen salmon. "You think this is revenge?" she spat. "No," I said calmly. "This is the introduction." 11:08 a.m. Alicia's voice dropped to a venomous whisper. "You set me up. You set all of this up." "No," I said. "You built this. I just scheduled the grand opening." The crowd watched us. Cameras clicked. Phones streamed. She pointed at the tables. "You're making a joke out of our life." I laughed. "You beat me to it. Except you did it with lube and your brother." Gasps. People turned. Whispers started. I knew something was off about them. They're real siblings? Gross. But like, rich people gross. Alicia paled. "I'm calling my lawyer," she hissed. "He already quit," I said. "He didn't like being part of the premeditated murder folder." She faltered, visibly shaken. "How do you know about that?" I leaned in. "I know about the razor, the wine glass, the burner phone, the draft email, the deleted footage from the hallway camera. I know everything." 12 p.m. She collapsed onto the curb, sobbing in heels. Makeup ran. Nails cracked. A news reporter crouched nearby, narrating live. "What we're seeing here is the collapse of the Whitmore dynasty, unraveling under allegations of scandal, fraud, and now a surreal estate liquidation effort that's gone viral." Alicia screamed at the camera. "He's lying. They're all lying. I'm the victim here." The cameraman whispered. "Yeah, but he has the receipts." 1:10 p.m. Frank arrived like a man walking into his own funeral. He took one look at the tables. The "free to a good home" sign above his rare Scotch collection. The child using his antique Persian rug as a sled. Then he saw me. "You smug little parasite." "You're welcome," I said. "Now you don't have to pretend your family was salvageable." He tried to strike me. His hand shook too much. I didn't flinch. "Next time," I said. "Aim lower. Like your parenting." 4:30 p.m. After the crowd cleared and the last person walked off wearing Alicia's wedding shoes, I sat on the curb with a sandwich. A man approached. Gray suit. No smile. Handed me an envelope. No return address. Inside, a birth certificate. Tyler's. Next to it, a paternity test. No genetic match. They weren't siblings. Not by blood. not by law. Tyler had been adopted into the family as a toddler, a fact Alicia deliberately hid. From me. From the public. From everyone. She'd orchestrated the incest lie to create scandal, isolation, and make me look unhinged if I spoke up. And it worked. Until now. I folded the papers, stared out at the sunset. Did it matter? No. Because lies only work until they explode. And this one? It just mushroom-clouded. 5:55 p.m. I walked through the empty estate yard. No more screams. No more silk curtains. Just wrappers, footprints, and the sound of one empire turning to ash. Alicia was still inside, sitting alone at the piano. The same one she once told me was too elegant for your fingers. She looked up as I entered. Destroyed. What do you want? She croaked. I walked over, held out the birth certificate. She read it, didn't react, then whispered it was never about love, you know. I know, I said. It was about control. You never really had it. True. Until I stopped needing it. She laughed once. Empty. You think you've won? No, I said. I think I've broken even. And I left her there, among the ruins, with nothing left but the echo of a life she'd rigged to explode and forgot to read the fuse length.